word end is in the word surrender.
Because you have to have a spiritual component within your business, in your life.
Yes. We're used to being able to have that kind of control over things, and now you're in a position where you're out of control. I want to be an influencer.
Right.
That's what you strive to be for the rest of your life. When you eat that food for 40 years, and then you start to develop those cancers, the same companies that are going to treat the cancer and the pharmaceutical industry own the food that gave you the cancer. You're Haley's uncle. You like flipped out. It wasn't enough to be one of the Baldwins. It wasn't enough to be Daniel Baldwin. It wasn't enough to be Alex's brother, which I was Haley Bieber's, Justin Bieber's uncle-in-law.
And that's it. It's enough.
Out of the seat she came. She jumped back out.
We are here today, guys, with our new show, The Rabbi Beni Show. Today, we have a special guest, a good friend of ours, a partner of ours, a person who has really revitalized our company, iShook, and everything that we're doing with the podcasting industry. His name is the great Daniel Baldwin. How are you, Daniel?
I'm blessed every day, my friend. I'm blessed every day. I really believe that. I say that a lot. People ask me in passing, hi, how are you? And today at the airport. And I looked at this woman and she said, I'm great. How are you? I said, ma'am, I'm blessed by the Lord every day. And she looked at me and she said, praise God, and it really moved her, because I believe that. I believe that, if you look back at my life, to what got me to where I am now, there was an intervention by God for sure that got me to be at this desk with you today. So there's no question. Now I got to say something.
Okay, I mean, go for it.
There's little things, do you want to sit by this flag? Do you want to sit by that flag? Do you want to wear this? Do you want to, and I turned around and then Benny drinks. His son ran out, was so kind as to go grab us some coffee and some bagels and a croissant, whatever. So we're noshing, we're knocking it down and we're getting ready to do the show. And then with literally a puddle, this much of coffee, just a puddle in the bottom. He takes a water bottle and pours over the little puddle of coffee. Now hold that up. To make this watered milk drink. What in God's name? Now that's usually, when you're in your car and you get in your car and there's from the ice blended drink, whatever you had, that little puddle in the end, you're like, I need something. And you'll drink it you poured that intentionally, for God's sake.
Why not? It tastes good. I mean, the ice is here. You want a water with ice?
All right. I want to understand.
No worries.
Take it away, man.
All right. So listen, I want to learn a lot from you today.
Okay.
And obviously, the whole point of this podcast is to get outside communities to help us in our community, because sometimes there's a rule in Judaism: a prophet cannot be a prophet in his own city, which means a person cannot help himself for himself. It's like a doctor cannot be a surgeon for his own self. And sometimes we need to reach out to other communities for that help within our own community. And there's many issues in our community, in general, because we're living Jewish in America, right? And, the point of this podcast in general is to get all my friends and other people we want to become friends, right? To help us and guide us in life experiences that we can learn from and actually grow from, right? And it's not about just being Jewish or religious. People don't understand that in Judaism, it's not, I do the performa Sabbath, holidays, but there's other performa, how to interact with other communities, but still keep your identity. And I noticed that the other communities, the Christian communities, the Muslim communities, and in general, any community in America are really focal on that. Their whole purpose is to, keep their identity, but they're still interacting. And that's what I believe that in our community we should be doing. That we should be still keeping our identity and interacting. So that's basically the whole gist of this, why I'm starting this podcast in general. And I figured, for sure it had to be Daniel who's the first podcaster. It had to be the first episode, and it's not going to be the last episode.
He must have gone way down the list before he got to me. Tell the truth. He was like, where's Iggy? Where's Tommy? All right, get Paul.
Nah. By the way, so before you even start, how great is it, that PBD podcast, by the way? I think you got an accumulation of over 6 million views already.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, he does an interesting thing. He does those little shorts, those little teasers. And I have to say that, I've watched him, and I never noticed that it was as it was with me. National Enquirer, especially the little teaser piece. The interview was straight up. He's a very good host because he listens. He knows how to refocus as I would start bantering on. So he's very dialed in. I actually really like him. He's a really good guy, which is not always the case when you're doing somebody's show. Not that I'm saying that here, of course. I don't mean to imply that at all. No, but he, and then I watched the numbers, we hit 1 million, then it hit 2, then it hit 5, so his influence is vast. I can't think of in that genre, maybe Rogan, is maybe only bigger than him, and he'll give Rogan a run for his money soon. Because he's also very bright, so when you're talking with him, you feel like you're getting, a volley, you can rally in tennis, which is you're way back on the line and you're hitting those big long shots, or you can volley, which is right at the net. Right. And he can volley. He can definitely volley. So I'm about to sneeze.
Would you say that Joe Rogan is more of a conversationalist, where PBD is more of an analytical individual? He's more like you're saying the volley. He's more like questioning, answering, like kind of trying to understand you more in what you're trying to say. Like what would be the common denominator between the two?
No, I think that they're both inviting, engaging. I've done lots of talk shows, some of the biggest ones of all time, and to have them where they sit there and you can just tell. When I did Letterman, I don't think Letterman cared one thing about what I was saying. I didn't feel he was in the conversation with me. It was about the shtick. He didn't want to learn anything about me. When the camera went off during the break, he didn't engage or speak to me at all. He was very, and again, I don't know David that well, right? But I didn't get to know him any better by doing his show, for sure. Mm-hmm. Jay Leno was always, very much a gentleman, came by the green room, visited, talked to you. I did his show a few times. Conan, the same, very nice. Good Morning America. They come in, they say hi. Hey, all of them, Katie Couric and blah, 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 blah. So, it's a matter of, do you make the person feel important? Do you make the person feel heard? I think that Patrick did that very well. I think that, I don't know what he has, 10 million or something. And again, I don't know, you would know better than I, how many followers or whatever he has, his engagement. But the thing I took from there that they're masterful at is those little sniglets they do. So they blast out, so tell us about, the relationship with you and your brothers, when it comes to politics. And I'd go and they pick out 3 lines that were strong. And then they put a sensational headline. Daniel tells them both, or whatever. And sometimes the headline really wasn't exactly even what I said, but it didn't matter because it makes you want to hit it.
Right.
It makes you want to hit that soundbite and watch it. Those have blown up. Stuff I said about P. Diddy, Right. Here's a classic one that I said. We were talking about it earlier, and and I'm just getting more, you moron, you this, you, whatever curse words at me from the people making comments because they're implying that I said that all the shooters in these high schools and stuff all played, some of those violent games,
right?
Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, whatever, Fortnite. And I did not say that. I said the one thing that they all have in common is that they played those games. That does not say I'm saying that if you play those games
that you're going to become a shooter, right?
Because I have people writing back. They all drink water too, They all, just like. And I'm like, I know, but I didn't. And I realized when it's that many people, you can't really defend yourself.
Right?
There's nothing to be said. It's out there. It's attention. It brings, the audience in, and you want them to write stuff to engage them. Now, if it was one of our shows or my show on your network, on iShow, I would probably start to engage them just to
yeah. Why not?
I do videos. Idiot. That's not what I said, and set it back out so people could blow up even more.
Right.
Because, like they talk about, any press is good press. I don't always subscribe to that because you can have bad press. Trust me, I've had it. But just being out there in the news and being out there, on the internet, is refreshing because it brings a lot of attention to your name.
That's awesome. That's unbelievable. So you mentioned about Hollywood before in the pre-discussion, and I think we should start from there and the reason why, because God in Hollywood, right? Like was there a transition that Hollywood and movie making was about God? Because obviously one of the biggest movies that happened was the Ten Commandments, right? With what was it? Who was the actor again?
Charlton Heston.
Right, Charlton Heston. And that was a big hit in all the world, right? And you see a lot of these, religious kind of movies being made. And then all of a sudden you have this transition that you have like Mark Wahlberg and you have all these other peoples creating their own studios to combat. Like, it's like now an infighting within movie making. And even in our own Jewish community, we're creating movies that, promote Judaism, promote religion. And happens to be one of the big rabbis, Rabbi Zamir Cohen, creates his own network where you can have a TV box. And that was also like scandalous, right? Like he creates his own TV box that you can actually watch videos of Jewish kosher, but like a kosher, content creation
Kosher
system.
content.
Right. Kosher content for the community,
Sure.
Specific communities. And I think the Christian community also have their own kosher kind of content, right? Everyone has their own kind of content.
Yeah.
But walk us through the transition. When did it start to be where you can't even express yourself with your faith in general?
I think that there's never, because of the election, been more attention paid to this particular category. I will tell you that in my path, which I like to, I can comment on as an expert because it's mine.
Right.
So to break into, and I'm not Jewish, I'm a Christian. I'm a born again Christian. So the faith-based market, they call it.
Right.
It's the one market Hollywood has never been able to get their hands on. And I'll tell you why. Because within the faith-based market are 10,000 of those little Christian stores that are associated with churches, that are in malls, but they're tiny little booths. You go in there and they have cards and a few items, and that's a Christian store. So when it's a Christian store, you can guarantee that any book or that any film or that any, audiology of any kind is all Christian content approved. It has to be. So there's no swear words. There's no talking about sex. There's no, so with that said, it's a very limited market and it guarantees you, they don't take it and go to the old days Blockbuster or go to streaming things. They don't, you can go directly to the 10,000 stores and sell them and they will pay the big number, $16 a DVD. Because you're guaranteeing their audience that this is approved, and then they'll just upsell it to 22 and only make the $6 per. So that's a big market. That if you're selling print after print after print to 10,000 stores, it's a nice built-in situation. It's a very difficult market to break in as an actor, but even more so as a director. So I was given the opportunity, and the reason why I'm in Atlanta right now, to direct a faith-based film. And I got my brother Billy and I got my brother Steven and Mickey Rourke and Denise Richards and Dean Cain. I mean, this cast, normally in a faith-based film, there's one or two. Kevin Sorbo is a big leader in that market. So Kevin and maybe one other person that you might have heard of. Never do you usually have 6 or 7 people that you know. And so I looked at it as a great opportunity to thrust myself into something that matters to me. I remember spending time with Michael Landon many, many years ago from Little House on the Prairie and the different shows that he did, Highway to Heaven. And I remember how important it was to Michael to put a positive message out. And he talked about his kids. And I'll tell you a story. That made me really want to get at. First of all, my brother Steven's a born again Christian. Right. And he and I, we wear our faith a little differently. Steven would usually let people know, although he softened some, it looks like lately, but Stephen would let you know why you're going to hell and why, your faith is not, it has to be a certain way. I've never been that way. For me, it's a project of promotion. And you have to ask me. I'm not going to tell you what being Jewish is wrong. Who am I? You're not doing it the way our book says, your book says, or whatever. You believe what you believe. And at the end, we're all going to find out.
Well, I say the same thing, by the way. I say, it doesn't matter who the Messiah is going to be. When the Messiah is coming, we're all going to follow, right? So whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
But for Buddhists, for this, I believe they were all the Son of God, So again, to each his own reach,
Right. Well, by the way, in Judaism, we believe all children, all humankind is son of God. So that's the high point. But it doesn't matter. It's no difference. It's not. Faith is faith, and you should always have the faith that you're born into.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
Yes. I don't believe it's for me to tell you. It's like my sobriety. As you know, I'm sober for many, many years.
Right.
And if someone wants to know my path, I talk about my faith. I talk about, what I did in the 12-step programs in order to get myself to a place where I could stop drinking. And And I made it, I mean, and by all accounts, it didn't look like I was going to be able to do that,
Well, so walk us through that. How, help the communities learn. Like we have a lot of young guys in our community, like we said before, right? Like at least about 50, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, I asked this question when someone says, I don't know what the problem is. I got the young kid whose parents are,
right.
See, they're coming right now.
Like, I mean, people don't realize, how do we prevent kids and adults, young adults? Like I heard a few other cases where married couples, husbands are falling into this trap, whether pressure or whatever it is. Like, how do we get out of that? I mean, I want to go back to the Hollywood issue as well, because I believe faith is very important in any culture. I don't care what faith it is. You need to have faith. Spirituality is a huge power to overcome issues. Mm-hmm. Right. But what about those who are not spiritual? How do they overcome? And I'm sure that your faith, right, helped you overcame, right? Eventually. So what was the issue that you had, and how did you overcome that hurdle in your life?
Well, so if I'll tell you the most important thing. Friends. So I will ask you to watch my hand as I write surrender. Now I want you to picture the word surrender is written in the blackboard right in front. What other word do you see in the word surrender?
End.
Wow. The word end is in the word surrender. In any war, in any fight, in any confrontation, anything. If you want to put an end to it, then just surrender to it. And you'll put an end to it immediately if you surrender to it.
Wow.
So having the ability to look at something and realize, I can continue this. Of course, you can go for it. You can die from it. Or do I choose to end it? Is that what I really want? So following the direction of those before me that freely gave of me their time and their grace and said, listen, here's how we did it. And we walked through these steps and we did these certain things, which had a lot to do with higher power. They were smart enough, those that wrote the books, to say, have some kind of higher power. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
It doesn't matter what book, but have a higher power, because doing this by yourself will be very difficult. A power greater than thyself is, I believe, the exact verbiage of it in the steps. And so, I finally decided I was going to take some direction and surrender. I had to surrender to the fact that, listen, when you're a tough guy, and you're strong and everything else, and you're like, why can this guy go? I had members of my own family who could go out and go to Vegas and have a long weekend and have a good time and come back and go to work on Monday. I was there for 2 weeks, in a room with all the bad things and doing all the bad stuff. And I just could never, until I collapsed, until it was really bad or whatever it was. So, when Mike Tyson is waiting for you in the parking lot and you keep saying, yeah, I know, but if I just tried this one, right, he's going to knock your ass out every time. And that's what happened. So finally I surrendered. I turned it over to God and I asked God, thy will be done. And I just said, listen, tell me what you want me to do. Show me, Rabbi, in my morning meditation and my morning prayer every day, I get up and I two things that I always include in my prayer. God, please continue to guide me. And please, Lord, don't let me miss the signs. And I say that because as powerful men, a person like yourself who has this beautiful synagogue and all these people that follow you that look to you to help them, that's a powerful position. That's a powerful, important position in your community. When you are a powerful person and you have to make quick decisions that can determine, the finances or the marriage or whatever. I mean, the types of things that are lobbed in your lap are real life, dramatic stuff where people are infidelity, God forbid, and this and that and stuff where you got to go, okay, hang on, and go through the book with them and how it's supposed to be done. And a lot of pressure. When you're a powerful man like that, you don't like other people making decisions for you. You're used to being number one on the food chain. You're used to being the one that runs it. So when you're told you can't do something, I can't do something. Of course I can do it. I'm a rabbi. I'm Daniel Baldwin. I'm an actor. I'm this. I'm a pastor. So, you're used to being able to have that kind of control over things, and now you're in a position where you're out of control.
Wow.
And you don't have control. What do you do with that? You turn that over to the one that's bigger than you.
So you really have to not just surrender physically, also mentally,
spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what a person has to do to overcome these things.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, ultimately, like the lesson that young people should take is, realistic. And I think even Patrick David said this in his workshop. Like one of the key elements, even for business, is you have to have a spiritual component within your business, in your life.
Yes.
Because where's the determination? Where's the discipline? Right? Because you need that discipline to surrender. But if, like you say, you feel that you're on top of everything, then there's nothing to surrender to. You're going to surrender to yourself. Is that what we're saying here ultimately?
Well, I think that there's a component now. I'm going to guess that when it comes to your congregation, that you're dealing probably with quite a bit of heroin use. That
fentanyl they're using. Fentanyl.
Okay. So let me add a component to that. So back when they did the marketing for Oxy, the Oxy program, Oxycontin, Oxycodone.
Right.
They spent more money on that program, the marketing of it. It was the wonder drug. And they got the doctors go, oh my God, the pain goes away immediately. And who wants their elderly mother with a bad hip to feel pain? This little pill helps you. They knew the narcotic value of those pills. They knew the addictive proposition that they were facing. So what is pain? Pain is there to tell you, particularly, let's take it through. You have a surgery, you have your knee done, and they tell you in 3 weeks you should be able to do this, in 6 weeks you'll be able to do that. And 3 weeks in, you start pushing a little bit and it starts to hurt. That's telling you to stop. That's telling you to slow down. It's natural. It's normal. It's necessary. It's preventative. Now I can take a pill. I can take a pill that I really should only be taking for, the first 20 of them, maybe 6 of them, get me through wisdom teeth pulled, and they give 30 Oxycontin.
Wow.
To a 17-year-old kid, a 20-year-old kid in college. By the time you've taken that 30th pill, you're hooked. You already have a physical chemical addiction to that drug. So the following is the scenario that happens most of the time with fentanyl and heroin right here in Queens. Could be a star athlete, could be whoever it is. They take the pill and they take the pill and they take the pill and suddenly they like the pill and they want more of the pill. And the doctor finally is not going to give them any more now. At $20 a tablet, you have to be doing pretty well to take 6 or 7 of those a day. So you're talking about $100, $120 a day. After a while, the guy who's selling you those pills, you're starting to run out of money. And he turns around, he takes a little bag and he holds it up and he goes, hey, you're paying all this money for the pills. This bag will last you all day and it's $40. It'll last you all day. And you're like, I'll never share needles. They've got Hep C, they've got AIDS, they've got whatever. And they're right down there. And I'm talking, break your heart, Rabbi, cry about, the level of, for anybody, obviously, but, some of the kids that had it all were on their way to, dynamically challenging universities and they're in hotel rooms having sex with other men to support their habit.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a very
slippery slope once you start on this.
It's a very slippery slope, but it has a physical component too that you have to detox them from.
So what's going on in the market basically, and I see this in many podcasts, we do definitely have a problem. I think RFK is saying this with the drug companies.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're getting people hooked on it.
Well, the stuff that he's attacking is so much more sinister. And when I hear people from the Kennedy family denouncing him because he's supposedly jumped ship, going over to the Republicans, I think that RFK Sr. and Jack Kennedy, former president of the United States, would both be very proud of what he's done, because we're talking about an even more sinister problem of what he's saying. So let's take a brand. Let's actually take Fruit Loops, the cereal, the colorful toucan. Okay.
Canadian Fruit Loops, they show comparison with U.S. Fruit Loops. The coloring is so bright, like I don't know what,
So in Canada, they looked and they said, here's 9 cell phones. This cell phone gives you brain tumor, proven. Absolutely. So why would you not only not tell people that, why would you even let them sell that cell phone to people in your country? If it's going to, could give you and most likely will give you cancer. So in this circle that we're talking about, we're taking all these processed, we're taking the grains that we're feeding the cows and the chickens. also have all these terrible chemicals to blow them up faster so we can get them to market quicker and then get them on your plate and make more money. Unfortunately, we know for a fact that many of these products have carcinogenic elements in them that they for sure can cause or do cause cancer. So civilization would say, you can't put that on our food. So they took the brightest colored dyes out of the Fruit Loops. They took all these different things out in Canada, all through Europe. But the U.S. doesn't do that. And there's a reason why. Because it's called coming and going. When you eat that food for 40 years, and then you start to develop those cancers, the same companies that are going to treat the cancer and the pharmaceutical industry own the food that gave you the cancer. So they get you coming and they get you going. And that's part of this that completes the circle that allows us now. Kennedy knows all about this. And he has said, listen, this is crazy. I mean, we have this if you look at the comparison to us and all these other countries with autism and stuff, it's got to be something we're feeding it that's in our system because no other country has the level that we have. Our kids are so sick comparatively, and we're a wealthy country. You know, listen, if you're dealing with a third world country that doesn't have access, you understand that it's a financial problem. But there is no financial problem in the United States for our children not to be living longer, not to be healthier. Obesity is like a 50% level now, how fat everybody is in this country, including myself. But I've lost quite a bit of weight because I've gotten hip to it. Yeah, it's a real problem. I'm really excited about him getting involved and what his role is going to be. I hope he doesn't drive Trump crazy and he stays in there, though. That's my one concern.
But I'm concerned that I don't know how far he'll actually get to change things. I mean, we're talking about pharmaceutical companies. I mean, like these players are probably one of the big players who run the country, you know, besides the president of the United States. I mean, I think the pharmaceutical lobby is bigger than any other lobby in the world.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about definitely an uphill climb. I think that when the two roads are crossing, the intersection right now is at Trump and Kennedy, and he has a president that's going to sign stuff, you know, and put it into law. So I would not be surprised at all if you see a number of things get banned in this country as they are in other places in the world, which again, so if Kellogg's or whatever the company is has to take one on the chin and change the dye, they did it everywhere else in the world. Just do it here. You know, I
think ultimately that's what will happen if they get it, you know, through.
That's the cost of doing business. That's it.
But do you think that they're going to say, okay, we'll give you A, B, C, but they're going to keep the rest running as it is? They can say, okay, we're going to make this cereals change here. We'll change a cereal here, you know, but in reality, the real money where they're making the real money, like you said, they're going from birth to death and they're making money throughout your whole life experience.
Yeah, I think where you're going to get it is you might be able to, if you remove a dye, you remove a dye. That'll be from everything. It won't just be from the cereal. If you ban the dye's out. So that's a big one. That's a big one.
So that means all these drinks are also going to be removed.
Many things that contain that. If you ban the element, that the red dye number, whatever, you know, then it's banned from everything. Wow. So if they ban that, that's a big step. Are we going to get into being able to get rid of all the pesticides that are in grains that are in the cow? I don't think in 4 years. Now, again, who's going to win and carry the torch after him? Is it going to be another Republican?
Who do you think?
Will it be Vance? Or I read a thing the other day that I almost got sick, and that was that right now the front runner for the Democrats is Kamala again. And I thought
again.
I go,
how? She just lost what, $2 billion and still in debt?
Yeah. I don't. Did you see the thing about her fighting? There was an article that showed her boxing gloves on, about to fight. Who's the kid that just fought Jake? The one who just fought
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. It's her fighting Jake Paul to make the money to pay back the debt.
That was funny. That is funny.
I don't see. I mean, I don't know who's going to. Is Gavin Newsom going to stay around long enough? There's a few other candidates. I think
I just read an article a few days ago. Mitt Romney wants to run, and he's choosing a running mate already or something. I don't know what the shtick is.
He's
going
to fire it up now. I mean, I think JD's pretty young, and the logical thing would be for him to, or would one of Trump's, children. I don't know. The Bushes did it.
Yeah, that's true. But I think they're gonna let JD run.
I think so too.
I think JD will run after.
I think so too.
I think he's very eloquent.
Yeah, I think he's the natural choice.
He proved himself to be a star player with that debate.
And his daughter-in-law down in Florida is really pushing it. I don't know what she's up to, but I think Trump.
Oh, which one? Trump? Laura.
Yeah, Laura.
She lives in Florida now? I thought she's in Atlanta.
But she's in Florida.
Oh, I don't know. We got
fact check.
Fact check it.
I'm going fast. Oh, Trump.
All right.
Fact check. Where's Laura? I thought she was.
Check out where Laura lives.
She's somewhere in Florida.
But she's, I think, originally from either Georgia.
But she holds some office now or something.
She's a VP in the Republican Party. I think. What is that
Where
called?
Where is she?
All right. Yeah.
She's running for some office or wants something in Florida, I thought.
Well, they're saying that potentially she should run for Senate.
Yeah.
What's like a Senate?
Florida.
Whoa. I was just fact check. Oh, okay. There you go. But they were living always in Florida. So they're setting her up. Yeah. So she's going to for sure.
She got Ron DeSantis there too.
Right. I never, honestly, the Ron DeSantis, I think was a huge mistake. It was a waste of time. He should have never actually ran for president. Honestly, I think it was a big failure.
I think he was, I think like the Democrats, a lot of people underestimated Trump and Trump's pull,
Well, we know listen, just to drop it again, we know that you predicted Joe Biden's resignment.
Oh, sure.
And this was literally, guys, November.
Way before anybody.
Yeah, November 23, right? 23.
Right. Yeah.
That was a year, over a year ago. You said that he will drop.
And I thought it would be, and you know what? And if I was right, it would have been a more interesting race. I thought it would be Michelle Obama. That
right. But they were trying to push her. I think there's some
Barack, I think also there was that famous footage of Barack Obama saying, I think he was on Colbert or something. And he said, if I could sit in the basement in my sweats and I could have somebody up there and I fed the words to them, him or her, he said.
Right.
And they would say what I told them and I could run it from down here, but I wouldn't have to do all the stuff on camera. He goes, I would do it again. I like the work that much. And that I was like, I thought Michelle, I did. I mean, the fact that they tried to resurrect her, and you know why they tried to resurrect her, why they made it Kamala.
No, so explain what was going on there. Oh, my
God. So all the money that had already been donated campaign-wise would have had to have been returned.
All right. So they
only if his ticket mate ran, then the money could stay. And they had a couple $100 million already in the bank.
Right.
Like, we're not sending that back.
Right.
And see what she can raise because they're never going to do it. And then once she had that $200 million and they realized this is the candidate, I think she took in over $1 billion.
Right.
But they didn't want to give that money back. That's what that was, I think. Otherwise, why would you pick her?
Right. I heard those reports. I read those reports and heard those reports as well. But in reality, I think it was a disgrace because that $2 billion is missing. And that $2 billion could have helped a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people got, these marketing companies got 40 million invoices paid out, 50 million invoices paid out. And I don't think they did much marketing.
Well, Rabbi, you're right here. You're in this community. This is Queens. This is salt of the earth. It's New York City, right? One of the boroughs. And when I turn around and listen, for those people that are Russian of Russian descent, for those people that are from the Ukraine, for those anywhere in the world where there's war or it's war torn, in Gaza, whatever it is, I pray for you. I do. I pray for you all. I do. I pray for you in Israel. I pray for my brothers and sisters in Israel. But to send $8 billion to a country when we have homeless veterans missing limbs that can't get health care, that can't get to a VA, that have nowhere to live, that are, it's disgraceful to me. And so when I look at some of the things that have taken place and when the record really shows itself, I follow the president and I follow a lot of political people and I get the blurbs when they put them up there. And some of it I look at and I go, well, I know that's not true. I know it's not true.
Right. Cause you're involved.
Well, I've got some people that are dialed in pretty heavily who go, yeah, that didn't happen. That's not what happened. And well, what happened? Well, they won't even say it on the phone. You got to come see me, and then I'll see them. I go, really? That's what? And they go, yeah. And I'm like, and they knew that, So we opened up talking earlier. I was.
Oh, right. The vigilante, right? Remember what? Right. So the vigilante.
Well, no. I was going to talk to you about the orbs and the drones.
Oh, right. Okay. So what's this?
So the new one I heard.
Okay. And this, by the way, this is just to explain that you are getting direct information from individuals.
This is intel that I got from a friend when I was asking him questions for my show, and I asked him if he would come on and talk with us. He said no.
Oh, wow.
And I said no. So you can't. He goes no. So,
but why would he say no? What? Like he's not allowed, or
he's fearful. Of saying this. So I'm not, because I don't. Again, anything I say, I'm talking from my source of information or my own experience. And I'll say, no, I know, I heard him say that, or I saw that.
Right.
So the drones and the stuff we're seeing in the sky, which is hysterical that they're actually saying things like, the reported drones or what are you talking about? We have video evidence of them. There's F-16s in the air. Like, are you really going to deny that?
1,000 of videos reported.
That they are indeed U.S. They're not Iranian or they're not Chinese because they're looking for heat plumes, a reported suitcase bomb with uranium, a nuclear weapon has been smuggled into the country or is on its way into the country. And they're trying to stop, which is why they're all by the ports. They're trying to stop and seize this weapon that Intel has told them is coming. I got that. I go, oh my God, I go, yes. They have testing things on the drone, the big ones the size of that they're looking down at every ship and everything coming in. Will it be a private boat, whatever it is, that there could be a nuclear weapon heading into Jersey or New York.
Wow.
So that made a lot of sense to me that they wouldn't, because they don't tell us everything. And that made a lot of sense to me. And I thought, now I don't know that. Listen, anybody listening, please don't start jumping off your window or anything.
No, but that is a possibility.
But you see,
not, it's possible.
Well, when you try to analyze the behavior, see, I always look at what the behavior is. Why would you not tell us? Why would you go and say, well, they're not really in the sky. We're not sure. Why haven't you shot them down? Why haven't you done, if there were another country, if you Google what the process is, to fly over the monuments as the plane that hit the Pentagon during 9/11, they will force your plane down. They'll force it out, even if they have to shoot it down. They'll force your plane down. So why haven't we seen any of these drones get knocked down or shot down or forced down or whatever when there's hundreds of sightings a day? Well, because then there's something going on they don't want to tell you would be the reason. I would make logical sense. And then when I heard this theory, I thought, oh my God, that makes a lot of sense. Like that covers all the questions.
So who's the main player that's sending these drones? Because they're saying there's a mothership somewhere in the ocean area.
Right. I don't know.
Like, how does the mothership even survive? Is it on a boat? What's going on?
Is it, because remember something. So I'm going to give you, so let me see your phone real quick.
Yeah. It's like, what's it called?
Okay. So
when the Nazis
take me through the stereotypical, what is the shape of the alien craft over the years?
Circular.
Saucer.
Right.
A flying saucer, right? Now, if you can see an incoming ICBM from Russia, our satellites pick it up as it leaves, before it even gets out, they see the heat plume, it comes out of the ground and starts going. If you see an asteroid out by Mars and they say, oh, in 5 years, that thing's going to be really close to Earth, you can see it that far away. Where'd the flying saucer come from? If you can see an asteroid all the way away, planets away, why don't we see? I'll tell you why. Flying saucer is round, has a little bubbly top, and it's super thick around the outside. The outside edge is thicker, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the only man-made object that has that configuration? A submarine.
Oh, that's true.
A submarine is curved.
Yeah, curved. And
giant plates on the outside with the bolts that go in. Why? Because as it goes underwater, it pushes this and sends the weight out to the screws, it's called. So it takes that pressure and sends it out to the big thick metal so it can go way under and take on all that underwater.
So it's like a placement, a pressure displacement.
here comes the F-16 and it's flying. So we got him starting to go and disappears. Where'd it go? We can see an asteroid by Mars.
But we can't see this.
If it went under the water, if the saucer was built to live underwater and the pressure pushed the bubble like this out to the thick screws on the outside, then it would explain why they can vanish and reappear at any time, because you can't see anything on radar when something's underwater.
That's true.
So how do we know they're not here? If this exists,
right?
Same thing. So same for these vessels. If it's coming out of a submarine, they're opening up the hatch of the submarine and 20 of them go choo, 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 and then they go back under the water and you can't see the submarine anymore. So it could be something like that. But what made sense to me was why they're not telling us what these things are. And if they're ours and we're putting them up there looking for something, that makes a lot of sense.
Wow.
So,
wow.
There's my story, Rabbi.
No, that's a huge point. And this guy is your source that said it, right? Like he said it more or less, right?
Yeah,
so it's
he told me that's what he was told. He was told that they're looking for, I guess it's called a heat plume.
Okay, so they're looking for the mothership also. They're not just looking.
They're looking for the bomb.
They want
to know where if this bomb is coming. So yeah, again, remember, these guys can listen to every cell phone. They can, they're monitoring stuff. They've grabbed somebody or they've intercepted some kind of message or something that has led them to believe, according to this guy's theory, has led them to believe that there's some terrorist act coming to the States that has to do with a suitcase or a land base, not an aerial. We're going to launch it on a rocket.
Wow.
They're going to sneak the weapon in and they're going to blow something up here.
Wow. Well, they tried at least.
Of course. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the plan. So,
but I don't get something like this. This what bothered me when I heard this news. Like, if this is actually real, right? Mm-hmm. Why is there so much neglect from the U.S. military or the intelligence agencies to let it even happen and be exposed in such a manner? We live in a society of literally everything is recorded instantly. Something got for like George Floyd, right? Instant recording,
right?
Like everything is instantly recorded today.
Well, that would be a level of, and I don't want to say that you're naive, but take a look at the 9/11 crashes when the buildings fall.
Right.
There is zero chance that they didn't detonate those buildings.
Yeah, I heard that there's.
Watch the buildings and you see these little blasts coming out the sides of the buildings when you're watching in slow motion and you zoom in. So
okay, there could be a theory that
they wanted the building to
right.
come down to give them the green light to do whatever they wanted in the Middle East. So let's on that theory, let's suggest that theory is true.
Okay. Again, this is a theoretical.
Okay, theoretical.
Okay.
Let's suggest that that's the motivation for allowing this terrible thing to happen in the United States on our home ground. Goes all the way back to, could you move an armada the size of the armada that was attacked Pearl Harbor without anyone noticing even back then? Probably not. Probably could not have taken the whole Navy of Japan and gone across the Pacific Ocean to get to Hawaii and not had any boat see it and reported, hey, there's 50 warships heading towards with planes and everything. Did they want Pearl Harbor to get attacked so we could get into World War II after World War I? I don't know. I wasn't in that wardroom. I don't know, but it's the same kind of theory. So you ask yourself, how could that happen? How could it be possible? Well, the industrial war complex is a gigantic business. Building tanks, helicopters, the parts, the maintenance, all the business that goes into having some place, not on our land, but let's go to some, Mideast country, a Middle East country or this kind of Europe, some country, and let's just bomb the shit out of it and sell them all our stuff and make all this money. That could be the reason why JFK was killed. He said he built the Peace Corps and he said he was pulling us out of Southeast Asia. And they went, yeah, Jack, don't do that. Right. You shouldn't do that. And they gunned him down in the streets of Dallas because that's exactly what he was going to do. He wasn't playing ball. So, I don't know what Trump's plan is. I'm not sure how that's going to look for us, but
I think Trump is like the Reagan right now. There's a report of a ceasefire in Gaza.
Yeah. And I think also too, there's something to be and again, I don't condone killing innocent people.
God forbid. War is bad all around.
War is bad all around. If you wanted to put an end to it, if we had a confrontation coming with Iran, then send it all right away. I'm not implying nuclear, but I'm saying You think Iran on their best day could hang with the U.S. for more than a couple of weeks? This would be like Afghanistan. Or are we going to step on the pedal, give it a little gas, ease off, step on the pedal, so that we prolong this conflict, so that we make all the money for all of our friends that are involved in the industrial complex, and that we could prolong a war with they're a formidable opponent. It's not like we're going into Delaware and trying to.
Right, no doubt. I think it'll be for sure, like you said, Afghanistan, Iraq. They'll if they go full force, they're taking it all out in a second.
Oh, I think that the real trouble here is going to be Iran. I think that we've yet to complete the trifecta of Afghanistan, Iraq. We could get that under control again, diplomatically, but Iran probably isn't going to roll over. They're going to have to go. And the theory behind that is the triple pipeline. So right now, still, you have to barrel the oil, and the barrels have to be taken and put on a ship, and the ship then comes out and takes these barrels of oil that we have. Some of them are now put in. They want to take super tankers, and they want to take Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, and have all three pipes run into one pipe, and have that one pipe run out to the Caspian Sea, and then have the freighter pull up right under it and fill it up like a car full of oil, and then just float off and just.
Oh, you're saving trillions
of dollars.
Yeah, like
economically would be saved if you turn it into a gas station. Well, they want all three, and so when they have all,
so now we know where. Okay, so that's unbelievable what you're saying right now. So that's why China is focusing right now. Literally, they have contracts with Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, all the stands, right, to create a direct train system,
right,
for export-import to save that money and get directly to Europe.
Yeah.
So this is exactly why China will make a deal with Iran, secure Iran's position, so we in the U.S. don't do what you just said.
Well, this is why you have economically, they're talking about this green income. So we're looking at the tax, the green taxes, the tax credits.
Right.
And that's because China and Russia and the oil business has always been in dollars. Well, they've decided they want to break off of that. They don't want to acknowledge the U.S. dollar.
Right. So they did the BRICS.
So they're doing the BRICS. So what do? We come up with this mythological tax break that you get, these tax credits which is another currency. And that's all in dollars now for the next 50 years. So you're going to get, do you know that?
Now, just to clarify, we're talking about the energy tax credits.
Yes, credits.
Energy tax credits. So we're going to be taxed on energy?
No.
That's one, right?
No, here's how it works.
Okay, sure. Okay.
So it was passed by Biden. In 2030, it kicks in. So in 2030, you will be assessed your carbon imprint. Now, if you're an airline, you have a tremendous carbon imprint. You're burning that fuel. It's leaving a carbon trail behind the engines of every plane, burning, it's terrible. If you're a taxi cab company in New York, if you're a grocery store owner, you have even the electric lights and different things you do, you leave a carbon imprint. The amount of waste and garbage that they collect every week has a carbon imprint because they're going to destroy it, burn it, do it. So you'll be given your carbon rating. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it goes 1 through 100, and you're a 10. Your little deli only does a 10 carbon imprint. You will pay an additional tax based on that 10 rating, starting in 2030. Now, in some companies, it will drive them into the ground. It could be up as high as 30% of their income, in addition to the taxes you pay now. So what they've developed is carbon credits, a usable, tradable. So we come into the synagogue. The synagogue has a carbon imprint. We're going to change all the light bulbs. We're going to change the generator. We're going to change the heating system. We're going to change filters. So you're assessed a 42 and you drive the 42 down to a 20. You have 22 carbon credits, and those carbon credits can be sold to Exxon if they want to buy them from you because they need them to offset their imprint.
Wow.
So it's going to be an actual convertible currency.
Right.
It's its own currency, all set up by the U.S. government.
Wow.
Got all this regulation covered, paid for, and these, ecologists have all told us this must be
right.
It's a currency play.
So to all the listeners, that's how we dropped the hit of 32 trillion.
Carbon credits.
Carbon credits and carbon tax, obviously, right?
That's right, baby. It's coming for sure.
So that's another way to empower the U.S. dollar besides the crypto U.S. backed dollars.
I think, Trump has said that he's going to, he's postured himself as somebody that's going to be favorable towards crypto. Such a hard time believing that the chief is going to let the dollar go.
No, he's not. He's not. That's why.
Well, I think Biden would have. I think if she won, we would have lost the dollar. They would have gone.
Yeah, because they're just letting it go.
And U.S. government owned.
Because they're just letting it go. They're not.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
No,
but I think now, if you notice the new report with XRP, they're getting their XRP US dollar backed dollar. Right. So where's that all coming from? The point is, notice all these cryptocurrencies. You have Gemini US dollar. You have USDT, which is you have XRP US dollar. You have the USDC, which is Coinbase's dollar. And there's a few other companies. You have the DAI token also backed by the dollar almost. So you have also through their own blockchains sequences and protocol. So ultimately, all these dollar-backed cryptocurrencies is essentially telling us what? Backed by the dollar.
Listen.
So they're not creating no more new currencies like a Bitcoin or Ethereum. They're now just creating currencies that are backed by the dollar.
I could kick myself, the Brock Pierces of the world that got into Bitcoin when it was, under $1, whatever he did it, and imagine, and he's, a billionaire, a really good guy too, very smart guy, good friend of mine, Brock Pierce.
Right.
But I started looking and I said, what's going to be, and this is probably, a year and a half ago. I said, what's going to be the next one? So Ethereum, my wife has some Ethereum. And I looked at XRP. It was 11 cents. And I went, it's my horse. And so I grabbed XRP, a good amount of it at 11 cents.
It's a good move. Good move.
Yeah. We're closing on $3.
That's not bad. But I think it's going to drop once they release the
easy. Yeah. I think it actually all continues to come down. But, I looked at
people have to cash out.
Sure.
People are trading. They're buying the whales. Like there was a huge movement with Bitcoin by whales right now. They reportedly,
I listened to, and you and I have talked about this and
right.
in some of the ventures that, you've been involved in and many of your friends that have now become my friends, so they're our friends, but you were the source.
Right. Same here. I mean, you connect me with a lot of others also.
Real estate will never go wrong.
Real estate always is fine.
So you can take all this money and all this XRP, Bitcoin, and you go buy yourself 50 lots somewhere on the water.
You're still good. You're good. Real estate is always obviously.
Yeah, you're always going to be okay with it.
By the way, my mom says you have to split your money 3 ways. You have to first put a third in your bank, third in merchandise, and a third in real estate. Like you got to split it. You don't keep it all in one.
I subscribe to that. Grab me a napkin really quick. Would you, bro? Throw me a napkin. I want to show you. I saw this, as an athlete because she killed me. So I want to take this. Okay. So here's the piece. This is Shaquille O'Neal. And he goes, here's what I did with every dollar I ever made as an athlete. And the guy made a lot of money. He goes, first of all, half of it's gone. I don't even, like it never existed.
All right.
You go. Then I take this and I got 50% of what I made. He said, and I'm taking 25 of it and I'm putting it away for taxes. He said, and then I take this and I take 12.5% and that's what I'm allowed to live. I have to live off of, splurge, buy, whatever I do every year off of 12.5%. Now, granted, 12.5% of my income on some years was a lot of money. He said, and then this is rainy day money. It goes in a separate account just in case. But 12.5 is all I've ever allowed myself to spend. He goes, and I've never spent all 12.5. He goes, but that's what I do. And I looked at that. So, there's the taxes are put away at 25%, and I thought that's a brilliant strategy. I mean, if
for millionaires,
I don't know.
Can you do that? Can you do that with 60,000 a year?
Can you?
The average.
So 30, 15, 7,500 and live off of 7,500. That's 12.5%. Probably not.
No. And if you're Jewish, forget about it. We pay tuition money for kids. Right now, 30,000 a year. You have 6, 7 kids.
It's funny. I just had that conversation briefly via text with my daughter's mother, and I said, because my wife and I have both, very conscious. She's an attorney and she's very savvy and she's much more thrifty than I am. And she's like, no, let's put that in this account. I wrote, just do it. Just manage it then. I trust you. You're not going to take the money and run off somewhere. So,
right.
go, just do it. Not that I'm not good with money, but she's way more, she has accounts that has all this meticulous. I said, great. And then we were talking about college. Avis is a junior in high school. She's second half now coming of her junior year. And then the year after that, she's off to school. They have a great program called the Hope program in Georgia, that if you went all 4 years to a Georgia high school, you can go to school for free at any Georgia university.
Wow.
Emory, Georgia,
Wow.
Georgia Tech, free.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like,
This is New York and those bills.
Avis, we could like Georgia. We could like that school a lot.
Yeah.
But the point was, her mother asked me about something she wanted to do with the kids and wanted to know if I would finance it. And I said, I have never asked you for a dime. I've had the kids now for almost a decade myself. I said, I've never asked you for any money. I never asked. I was entitled to get child support, blah, blah. I make a lot more money than she does. I never, listen, go do your, I got it. But now college is coming and you're asking me if I'm going to send them, to Disneyland with you or whatever the hell she was asking me to do. And I said, no. I said, but college is coming for Avis. And you're right. And that's a big bill. That's a big bill because you got to figure I'm going to take home maybe a little more than half of what I make by the time I pay agents, managers, lawyers, taxes. So, if it's deceptive thing to say you made $500,000 that year, you took home $250 and college costs $110.
Like, what did you make?
It happened.
What happened? Nothing.
So I said to her, I go, well, where are you going to be when the bill comes for college? And she said, well, I'll chip. I said, no. Avis can take out the loans and you can co-sign the loans. Oh, it got dead silent after I said that. No comment.
No comment. Right?
Nothing. There was nothing said. There was, So that bill is going to fall on us. And
of course,
and my wife, is wise and, and us preparing for that. Hopefully Avis decides to go to school in Georgia. That would be a great help.
Avis, if you're listening, Georgia's a good opportunity.
Go Bulldogs, Avis.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But it's funny that just came up the other day. So,
wow.
Yeah. And I really never, to my wife's credit, I didn't give that a lot of thought. Yeah, I just figured, okay, I got to go do two crappy movies that I don't want to do, and make enough to send her, and I'll work 6 weeks. I'm in a position, thank God, to be able to do something like that. But I don't want to do them, and I'm getting old, man. I'm 64 years old.
Right.
I want to stay home with my son and my wife, and
you just want to chill. I mean,
garden, grow tomatoes.
I mean, ultimately, the way I think of it, like, it's not going to be like whatever Shaquille O'Neal, like going back to the Shaquille O'Neal point, right? Like whatever he's saying, it applies to millionaires. It doesn't apply. It's very hard to apply that to an average, what's it called? An average American who's working.
Okay, well, let's look at, let's hear that. So let's take it to, what's the average, median salary?
It's about, from what I know, it's about 31,000 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say it's 200,000.
Okay.
Let's say not a millionaire, 1/5 of a millionaire.
Okay.
You make 200,000, right? And you're going to pay 50, let's say 50 in taxes. You got 1/5.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's just do the same program. If you make 200,000 and you go to 100 and then you go to 50. So can you live on $25,000 a year?
Rent? You're paying rent. How much is your rent? I don't think you can do it 25 a year. You can't do it for sure living in New York. Maybe you can do living in South Carolina or North Carolina, not in the greatest locations.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, you're right. You're right about this being a great configuration for someone who's making 50 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Because then you're left with, several $1 million to live your life. But still, what if it's not 12? What if it's 20? You know what I mean? Like, Like it still could be, could you live on 40,000 a year? 20% of
in New York, yeah. Even in New York, but you're not going to be.
You might be in a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment in Queens. You're not going to be in Manhattan,
right? It's 24,000, 30,000 a year for rent, and you got 10, 20,000 for food, clothes. Not a problem, easy to do.
Right. So let's, maybe it's not 12, maybe it's 20. But the point I think that he was trying to make was, we make this money, and I know that I'm guilty of this partially because in the 90s, from 92 to 2010. I just always made money. Like I didn't, I call my agent up, but hey, and I was doing a lot of voiceovers. I could, do endorsement things. I could do appearances. I could do, and then you start getting older and people start looking at you going, who are you? And that shrivels up, I saw, not too long ago, a good friend of mine is doing a reality show now. And I thought, wow, he was a big movie star. He's doing a reality show now. And I've done reality throughout my career. I've spotted it here and there and blah, blah, but I wasn't an A-list big movie star either, So, when you get older, the pickings get a little thinner.
Right.
You gotta.
No, but now we live in a society you can create your own content and make and get back to the game. I mean, thank God with PBD, he helped. I mean, he took the interview, and that I think that's a good propelling. Between you and me, I don't want to call strife with you and your brother Steven, but you surpassed Steven's viewership, by the way. I mean,
we buried him.
Yeah, definitely. He only has like one clip that's 1.3. You have clips already going to go to 2 million, like literally.
Yeah. No, we surpassed him.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that too? That competitive thing with me and my brothers, still sometimes, not like it used to, but sometimes exists. And I watched his show and I thought, what are you talking about? And I wondered, it was an interesting thing. I never got into it too much with Patrick, but isn't it interesting how his recollection of what went on in that house, his recollection and how he categorizes things and how he labeled certain things about us comes from the perspective of the number 6 kid, who was the youngest one, who had far less influence from my father because my father was sick and died while Stephen was a teenager. I looked, I wasn't in the house as much. And, my mom had by then, I remember one time coming home from college, I guess I was like a senior. And so Stephen was 6 years younger than me. So he was like in 10th grade in high school. And I come in and like 3 of his friends are in the den in my house. We had a big 25 by 25 den that had a door to go outside so we could sneak in and out of the house through this den. And my father wasn't living in the house at the time.
Wow.
He had left. My mother and him had some problems and he was very sick. I think he was hiding his sickness from my mom. Didn't want her to see it. But anyway.
Wow, that's very noble of him.
Yeah. I walk in the house and there's, Corey and Paul and Sully and this guy, and they're passed out. And there's like, remnants of weed on on the, like someone had been smoking pot or whatever, Again, we all did this and, in high school, we tried it. But I just remember I would never have had the balls to have done that right in the house. That would have been just like unheard of. If I told Alec, let's go downstairs in the den and smoke a joint, my brother would go, what? We would have been killed. Like the risk of my father's wrath.
Right.
Even my mother. I walk into and I hitched from school in Indiana back to Long Island, and they're all passed out. There's bottles of liquor and beers, again.
Like the audacity didn't exist for your generation.
He was underage.
Oh, that's for sure.
So I knock on my mother's door and I open the door and I go, Mom, what the hell is going on in this house? I'm like, he's out there with his friends. I go, there's drink. And she goes, it's a lot better for me to have them in the house and know what they're doing
than outside.
And have them go driving somewhere. She goes, they're going to have a couple of beers. They're going to drink a little bit. They're going to do whatever. I feel much more comfortable knowing that he's here. And that's her baby too, so, and I had to wait till I got older to really understand, to understand that, oh God, they probably are going to do a lot of these things.
Right. So rather have them.
So would you rather not have them? Because my fear for sure about my daughter now is her driving that car. And she's not a party or anything, so she's pretty.
No, it's not even her.
But it's somebody else.
Exactly. It's nothing about her. She can be a great driver. It's just we have crazy people driving in the same roads.
There's a lot of nutty people. I'm in a metro city too. I'm in in Atlanta, so
it's very dangerous to people out there.
It is, and it worries me sometimes when she says she's going out. I have the location device, and I make sure she's at the kid's house now. And it makes me sleep easier. No doubt.
Sure. I mean, but yeah. So with your brothers, who has the most kids right now?
Alec has, and he and I have a young son, Deja, and I have Bat, my son, as you know. Yeah. And he's 18 months old.
By the way, the cutest baby I've seen.
He is a cute boy. He looks like his mommy. Thank God. But Alec has, he's got 7 kids now, right? And with his wife Ilaria,
Now, the reason why I'm asking you this, because you mentioned the recollection of Stephen, right? So you have many kids as well, right? And Alec has kids.
Yes.
Many, right? Do you notice from your own children that they recall life situations in the house differently?
Well, this was the thing about the Patrick Bet David show when I listened to Stephen and I got, saw all these references, people asking me questions. See, remember something when something happens to Alec or something happens to Billy or something happens to Stephen or me, they hear about it. People send them stuff or news outlets call them up, and some things have been, really very big in the news too, where it's not always as easy being coupled in and looking like your brother. And God knows back in my years where I was practicing with addiction, Alec, I got arrested. I got a big fight with this cop. And Alec had to stand there and, we're working on Daniel. We're hoping that he's going to get better. But, and he had to kind of be the face of the family that took that. And he's had some difficulties, as we know, in the last couple of years, where suddenly this incredible situation got lobbed into my lap where, we don't like to speak for each other. This has been a very tense time for us. He's been exonerated of all that stuff.
Thank God.
Thank God. And rightfully so, for sure.
Especially since they planted nonsense there. Come on.
Accident. But
no, I mean, because it got mistrial because of the planting. I mean, that already is, I think that already is like, how do I explain? Like that just shows the improper, like you lose credibility in court systems and prosecutors that they're planting evidence, withholding evidence.
They lost all of their credibility and I don't think people understand the process of what actually happened. And so when this is the camera and the camera is aimed at the actor, there's a monitor on the side of the camera that the director of photography, this woman in this case, was looking at, and she's directing through with the shot that they're going to do what they want Alec to do. So she's walking him through it.
Right.
Go ahead, lift it up. Right there. More to your right. More. Stop. What are you aiming at? Good. That's where I would put it back. Now take it out in one motion. Great. Tilt it to the left up there. Now pull it back. And she's telling him what to do. There's an armorer, which is the person that supplies the weaponry on set. That person is a licensed, certified, you pay for this person to have these weapons because they're real weapons. That person hands the weapon to the first assistant director, who then takes the weapon and comes on set and says, hot weapon on set, cold weapon on set. One of the two they have to say. Cold weapon means that there is nothing that can discharge in it. And by law, that person should have taken the gun and pointed it at the ground and squeezed it with a revolver 6 times to confirm
that there's no. Right.
So when handed to my brother, declaration was cold weapon on set, which then exonerates him immediately of 2 layers of insurance. Because the last thing you want is an actor making that decision. We're not weapons experts. Some of us know more and more proficient than others. He did what he was supposed to do. And a very sad accident occurred. Here's the thing that told me the moment I lost all respect for the district attorney. They gave the first AD, the one who announces cold weapon on set, full immunity to testify against Alec. And I thought, hang on a second. Even if there was, and there is no reason why the armorer should not have known and handed that gun before. So there's one layer broken. But he could not make that announcement without test firing the weapon. And he went ahead and made the announcement, which was the last barrier before the actor took the weapon in their hands. So why would you give him as grossly negligent in the death in accordance to that sequence as he would have been in that process? Because his last name wasn't Baldwin. He wasn't going to get you elected, lieutenant governor in New Mexico 5 years from now. So she went for the money that's going to keep her in the news, in my opinion. No,
I concur with your opinion, by the way.
And so with that said, does anyone have any idea, and I don't, but what that must be like for him to play in his head, even though he played no role in the accidental death of this woman, that this was the wife of a man and the mother of an 8-year-old boy and a friend of his, and she's gone. And there's nothing we can do to bring her back. And he will replay that explosion in his hand and the impact vision of Ryder for the rest of his life.
No doubt.
And so, and that's a sad situation for him.
You also mentioned Patrick with David, and they showed a clip, by the way, with Alex said, if I would run for president, I would win. So they did that. They did it with one of your shorts. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know he ever said that. And actually, that's a big thing. I mean, your brother should be proud of you that you.
Well, I think that we don't see eye to eye politically. I think that he has made it very well known in the press what he thinks of people that have voted for Trump and blah. And again, I don't, there was some mention that he said at Turin Film Festival of how the people that voted for him are not living in the reality or something.
Yeah.
And so I would challenge him on that. I mean,
by the way, in 2020, when Biden won, it was like 80-20, Democrat, Republican, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's been like 57-33, something like something in a range that it went up 30% more for Trump in New York State.
Yeah.
In Queens went up. Many districts in Queens went up for Trump, went red. Our district where we are now was red fully. It was heavy red, like the majority red here.
And in the Jewish community, is it normally more Democratic?
Yes.
I think traditionally it is.
Yes, because of the, let's be clear, like a lot of them, putting away stereotypes, not all Jews are rich, right? So you have a lot of people who are poor, and we usually vote Democrat for the welfare and for the which
is quite amazing to me, because I got to tell you that there are people, and I won't say the word, but that are peeing in their own pants right now globally when this guy comes in, because of how quickly he's going to straighten this out. And there are things going on,
and I think they should on.
And there are things going on right now where so we've talked about in the past tariffs, and we talked about it on Patrick's show. And everyone's jumping on, well, that's just going to be transferred on to us, the American consumer. And I said, well, not really, not necessarily, because if you were going to buy a car and you were going to buy a Chinese car or you're going to buy a Japanese car, whatever, you might think twice about them buying an American car now. And the money that we're giving to offset what's going on economically in Detroit and in Michigan and in the assembly lines and so on. So while you're going to pay 30% higher, whatever the tariff is going to be to take it over. Now, for me, about this scanner that I'm with the company.
Yeah, right. Which is going to revolutionize.
Yes. So I'm involved with a company, that has a fully portable, mobile, 64,000 times the resolution CAT scan. That is, I'm going to change every hospital you'll ever see for the rest of your life. Your kids, will end up being imaged by this machine. It's going to be, not that there won't still be Siemens and there won't be MRIs and everything else. There probably will be, but this one rolls right into the operating room and right into the emergency room, can be put on a truck. No more taking the old people and disconnecting them and taking them into the hospital. Or take it to your house. So, and it's way better than the one they have. So, knowing that we have this, I lost my track of thought while we were
with a scanner.
Yeah, why we brought up the scanner. Visualizing bringing the scanner into here to show it to you. I started thinking, man, I wish I brought one with me. But anyway, so right now, Trump set up. People are
with the welfare states.
People are peeing themselves because they're waiting for this guy to take. Okay, so down in Texas and in Arizona, are you familiar with what's going on with the wall?
Oh yeah, they're selling the wall, and Texas is buying back.
So Biden has allocated big sections that go up of the wall, and they're selling them for $5. That's in the metal alone, just to melt it is worth, $100.
Yeah.
He's selling them for sections. They're trucking it out so that Trump can't be successful and build the wall. He'll have to have them all made again. They're all lying by the side of the road. Trucks are picking them up, taking them. He's selling them. The giant FU that, you've never seen anything like how they're going to. And this is another reason why I said, and it's getting later in the game. We're mid-December now, but it's still not off the table. Do not be surprised if over this holiday, please listen to me. Do not be surprised if Biden goes, oh, I have pain, and they step her in and make her president for 3 weeks. Don't be surprised they do that.
It's a possibility, yeah.
It is still a possibility. It's still on the table. It's still being discussed. As a giant, just give it to him.
I think PBD mentioned he also believes potentially that can happen.
It is definitely.
I mean, a lot of people potentially believe that. Well, I also believe potentially that can happen. It already happened, by the way. Kamala was a president for 2 hours. Did you know this?
Tell me no.
Okay. So Joe Biden, I think, went for a colonoscopy or something.
Under anesthesia.
And they gave her the presidency for 2 hours.
And they found out he was an asshole when they did the test. Oh, sorry. Shit out.
Well, it is a shul, right? So the guy, but it's okay. That was a good joke. I let it pass this time, Daniel. but Google it. Fact check it.
No. I'm sure it's true.
It was true. So therefore, I am not skeptical that it can happen again.
No,
because if they already did it, she's already sworn in. I don't think they need to swear in again.
No. We're not. We're talking about he would step down as president.
Completely step down?
Completely step down.
Okay.
And that would make her 47.
But that's what I'm saying. She already was 47.
No, well, that's a temporary thing while he's...
Okay, so if it's temporary...
I'm talking about him. No, her being sworn in as the president.
So side question. If it's temporary,
right,
is she considered 47?
No.
So what is she?
No.
45, 46 and a half?
She's the vice president. Well, if you're in a car accident, you're unconscious. You're not the president. You step in for him to figure out until he has to actually officially step out.
What is that called? That's like, I don't know. I don't know either.
Marilyn Monroe. I don't know.
Well, Lyndon B. Johnson was in that position until he was sworn in.
But the president was dead. So
no, but there was an interim before they sworn him in. What would be his position? What would be his title?
No. So
they had to confirm his death, right?
When Jack Kennedy was shot, there's a famous picture of him getting on Air Force One with his hand up. She intentionally continued to wear the clothes with the bloodstains of her husband on it and wore them on the plane while they had him swear in. That's when they swore him in. For a procedure to take place, there's a temporary, whatever they call it, but that's not the same as her becoming 47.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
That he's fully stepping down.
I'm telling you, I think it is possible.
Are we putting money on this, Daniel? Do I still owe you money on the previous?
Money and a steak dinner or something. something.
All right, that's good. I think this is going to have to be another day because you're flying out quick today, right?
It's all right. I'm going to get in the car with Mike and I'm going to complain. Where's Mike?
He's going to come after the show. He's got another 20 minutes on the show.
This guy, I want his life. He hangs out, feet up, watching. He's got the remote in his hand.
He's thank God for Michael. Thank God. Let's put it that way.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He believes
definitely.
In you, bro.
Yeah, I believe. I listen. I appreciate. You also, I believe in. You also believe in me. I'll be honest with you.
I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe.
And also Adam is coming next week. And by the way, we're definitely going to get you back to the community. I want to do a big event with you. Like, I want you to help the young community, like, kind of get these young guys out of this funk that they're in. Especially, like, you gave a lot of principal ideas in business, like in the beginning of the show. And those principal ideas, I think, could be used constantly.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Do you do fundraising here?
Yeah, we can do fundraising.
Okay. We have a big room somewhere where we could put a screen.
I can go anywhere you want.
Okay.
We have access to everything. Put it this way.
I'm going to come. Deja and I are going to come.
Okay.
We're going to put a screen up and we're going to show My Promise to PJ, the documentary that I made, where we talked to the boy's mother, boy who died, overdosed. We talked to his mother. All my brothers are in the movie. Many members of my family, members of his friend, his mother, his father, his aunt, his uncle, and we'll tell this story and, we'll then have some kind of meet and greet, we'll eat, we'll do something afterwards, and you charge whatever you want for the plate. It goes to whatever
organization,
charity, whatever you want to do with the community.
I want to do 50-50. 50 for combating drug abuse in our community and 50 to your mother's organization.
Great. Perfect.
For cancer. By the way, just for everyone to know, Daniel's family has a cancer fund, right? Two funds, right?
Yeah, it's competition now.
Oh, yeah. So, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So I'll tell you. So there's the Upstate Medical Center at Syracuse University, which is the Carol Baldwin Breast Cancer Research Fund of Central New York that my sister Beth is the director of. And so that was me, Beth, Jane, and Stephen, 4 of us. And Alec and Billy did the one on Long Island out at Stony Brook University. Well, Alec jumped ship. He decides he's going up with Beth. I abandon Beth, and Jane comes with me, and we go down with Billy. Now it's me, Billy, and Jane on Long Island.
So you switch over.
And trust me, Alex doing this new Crush the Can, campaign where they're donating cans all around the state. So I got, a buddy of mine to put up $500K. He donated it. So we're definitely going at it now. It's like,
so we got to do something. We'll do something.
We committed to $5 million. There's a a family, the Simons, who, committed a huge war chest of money, and they'll match funds to anything you raise. So they'll do half match. So we committed $5 million over the next 5 years that will on the side raise, me, Billy, and Jane. And then the family will put another 2.5. So it'll be a $7.5 million raise for the, when my mother asked me, she was getting sicker. And I said, and she was 90 something. And I said, Mom, are you afraid, of what's going to happen? But she went, no, I'm not afraid. I'm going to go see Daddy. And, I miss him so much. And so I know I'm going to be with him in heaven. And I said, okay, so is there anything you want me to do? Is there anything I can do? And she went, well, we have the Upstate Foundation and the Downstate Foundation. She said, and I just wish one of them could stay open for good. So I said, okay. So you mean you want me to raise an endowment? And she goes, if you can raise an endowment that allows us to write the $50,000 grants, $250,000. And I started doing it in my head. I went, well, I'd have to raise probably around $10 million to make $250,000 interest and still be able to put money back into the fund. I went, okay, so I got to raise $10 million. And she said, whatever you have to do, you asked me what I want. So that was it for me. And my mother died a year later. And
wow.
And so I said, I'm going to help raise that $10 million.
Do you know any ratio of how effective the organization is? There's like any reports?
So what we,
because I remember you mentioned that they found through your organization cure to cancer, another cure to breast cancer.
We found a gene up in Syracuse. They identified. So we do research for a cure. We don't fund people to go.
Right. That I know. Okay.
We have a 9-oncologist board. You submit your evidence, say, here's what we're working on. We look at it. We go, okay, that looks very promising. What do you need? So we do the seed money, first round. And then, so as a result of the millions of dollars that we've given at 50, 100, 150, whatever it is, towards that research, the almost 100 million has been raised in the second round because of how much promise we were right that we identified. And then DuPont comes in and just goes, okay, let's go find out what it is.
Wow.
So we're on it, but we're so close now. We're so close. And the scanner that I'm affiliated with,
it's going to help a lot.
Will be huge in the early detection.
Wow.
A big part of that is, so go out, get a mammogram, go out for sure. I didn't want to have a colonoscopy, tough guy. No one couldn't do that to me. That nonsense, right? And then my wife's stepfather gets really sick and dies.
Wow.
And I thought, I'm supposed to get it at 50, then for sure by 55. Now I'm 63 at the time, and I go get it. I had 11 polyps.
Wow.
In my colon. And I had, 2 of them were really big. And so the guy called my wife up and said, I just want you to know I just saved your husband's life. For sure, this would have been burst in the next year or 2. So, and then he said, you have to come back. I went back in 1 year, which was just last week, and had 3 more. So in a year, 3 more had grown.
When you eat healthy, how is it even happening?
Bro, I don't know what again, that food chain thing, how much of it I've already set up into action. Yeah. Right. I don't know. What else environmentally is in the air, the water? I mean, they talk about chemtrails. You guys are really close to airports here. What are we breathing?
Paul LaGuardia is right here, 5 minutes away, and you have JFK. I mean, like really, yeah. I mean, that's a huge thing.
They talk about, they're showing pictures of those drones. Some of them were going up and down, leaving a mist behind them. I mean, they're so capable of doing such subversive stuff. It's interesting, so much so that here we have an 18-month-old son, my wife and I. And I said, D, I've lived in Canada, I've lived in Switzerland, I've lived in Italy, I've lived in multiple places in the United States, probably 10. And I miss Italy. I miss how just simple life is there. People don't worry about the stuff we worry about here. People are so happy to make 20 grand a year and have a nice little home. And, they're just, we chase so much here. We do. We chase so much. And at the end of the day, you don't take any of it with you, and the amount of time that you have when you're lying on that deathbed, or you start getting really sick and you start thinking about how you'd give anything for one more fishing trip. You'd give anything for, really simple stuff. So, and as I think about how I've raised my teenage daughters, and they're good kids, don't get me wrong, but they're very much about their phones and very much about social media. And, you ask the average American, they did a comparison with TikTok. You and I talked about this in China. And they asked the average Chinese kid, and the first answer was, what do you want to be for a living? I'd like to be an astronaut. What else would you like to be for a living? I'd like to be a doctor. First two answers. In the US, the first answer of a kid between the ages of 12 and 22, I want to be an influencer. I want to be an influencer.
Right.
That's what you strive to be for the rest of your life. And they look at these guys, that have made all this money, and again, that's the goal, because unless you're influencing them to do something that's socially needed medically, or it's a social cause, whatever, an influencer is somebody who steps in front of a mirror and does little dances.
And it's so funny that they call that an influencer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Vanity has become influencers.
Listen,
I don't get what that is all about.
It's changed the trajectory of my career. I mean, think about it. I'll tell you two quick stories. Number one, when the casting came for the last movie I directed, it wasn't my money. And they brought in, standard, well, let's read people. Show me the actor, show me their tape. Let me give them an audition. They can come here, whatever. Here's a list of the influencers we're looking at. And I went, okay. So she's very pretty. He's very handsome. Do they actually act? Well, they're interested in getting an act. I went, you want me to put them in this complex role in this thing where their mother dies and blah, blah, and you don't even know if they can act? You just want me to hire them. They have, 7.9 million followers on TikTok, and this one has 22 million. I went, I know, but I'm making a movie. I'm directing the movie. Like, I don't care how many followers. What if they can't act? They really didn't care. They really did not care. It all had to do with how many people are going to shout out, stream out, text out, Instagram out, Twitter out, by
so there's no acceptance of reality. I mean, the reality is that when you're making a movie, you obviously have to have good actors who can perform in the movie.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care. They don't care. And here's a better, so I'm in the airport probably 6-8 months ago. And this woman, you can see she's going to her house. So you've been spotted, it doesn't happen as much as it used to when I was, on a primetime TV series or whatever. It happens still, we look a lot alike. We sound a lot alike in my family. And some people sometimes were fans of the show or movie that you did, and they recognize you. So I can tell the look, the woman, and I'm waiting to see if and sure enough, she's getting up now. So she's going to come over. Hi, Mr. Baldwin. Thank you so much. And, I'm such a big fan of your work and mine. I said, oh, thank you so much. Would you mind taking a picture with me and my family? And I always get up. I walk over. And so I walk over, and there's the daughter, who's probably 15, and the son and the mother and father. And they hand the camera to the daughter. Goes, I'll take it. And she could give a crap. She has no idea who I am. When I was making movies that were really big, she wasn't born yet. So she turns around, she takes the camera, she takes the picture, and the mother goes, Alice, come let me take the picture. She goes, no, it's okay. And she goes, Alice, you're going to want to take a picture with him and have a picture with him. And she went, Mom, it's okay. And I turned around, I looked at her, I go, I bet you I can make you want to take the picture with me. And she looked at me, and the father looked over at me, and I went, my brother Steven's daughter is Hailey Bieber, Justin's wife. And she went, you're Haley's uncle? I flipped out. It wasn't enough to be one of the Baldwins. It wasn't enough to be Daniel Baldwin. It wasn't enough to be Alex's brother, which I was Hailey Bieber's, Justin Bieber's uncle-in-law.
All right, that's it. It's enough.
Out of the seat she came. She jumped back out. I said, this is what it's come to now.
Yeah,
I'm Hailey's uncle, for Christ's sake. 160 movies. Oscars for the pictures I've worked on. Emmys for the best TV show. Blah, 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 blah. No, wasn't enough. But when I said that Hailey was my niece, man, she jumped.
She jumped out.
But
so it shows the relevance has changed in the reality.
And nothing, Hailey's a very successful model and a mother and a wife and a nice person. But, Hailey's married to Justin. It's her husband, super, super famous. She's become very, very famous for being married to him,
right.
And some of her work, but let's face it, that's
mainly
a big part, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so incredible to think that, really,
right.
But it's that powerful now. This has changed everything. My daughter and I I don't know if you've had these conversations.
I have, my sons are different. Each son is different, but I do have these conversations because, listen, I didn't grow up with a phone.
Right. Me either.
Like I grew up with books. I mean, like you could see the books in the shul. Like I have like 10 of those columns upstairs and downstairs. Like that's my life. I have computers with manuscripts. You know, that's who I am. Like scholarly work. The phone because they grew up with the phone.
Right.
So they have no offense to my son. I mean, he's here watching us, but they have a disconnect to the books, to the reality of reading.
Hello.
Yeah. Like
I had to listen to this. Well, you don't understand the level of work when you went to school. But I know, excuse me. You go to school and she's got 4 AP courses. These, very difficult. When I was in school, they were honors, whatever they were. Okay. And she's telling me I said, hang on a second. I had to walk to the library. I had to go through a thing called the periodic guide. I had to find the reference book. I had to go to the section of the library that had the book about Abraham Lincoln. I had to take it out. God forbid I had to read the book, and then I had to handwrite
everything.
Not autocorrect, not proper. I had to write it and make sure it was grammatically and punctual. Spelling, content. I go, you can talk into a phone and it writes you the paper if you want.
Right. And does the research for you.
Are you really going to compare
how many
access that you have and think that what you're doing is harder than what I did?
There's no way.
I said in one day with the number of, with what's going on with iShook, with what's going on with other endeavors that I do, then God forbid, so I took out the script and I said, to save money, I love these guys, producers. They've hired me a number of times. I looked at their call sheet. 5 pages the first day, 4.5 pages, 6 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages, 4.5, 5.5. Got to the last day of the movie, 16.5 pages. Baldwin's here. Because they didn't want to pay me for 2 days because of what they had to pay me for the one day. So they put 16 pages on a movie, which they hadn't done more than 6 once. Now they're going to do 7, 8 twice in one day. So I had to remember, and these are, what did I tell you at the time when your mother, these long speeches.
Right.
And I said, you memorize 16 pages of dialogue in 5 scenes and do them without making a mistake or very few mistakes and get it done in one day. I want to see you do that. And there was, well, why do you need to compare? I went, well, because you're trying to make it sound like what you've chosen in 4 AP courses compares to, or like, I don't know what it is to work. I go, I know how hard it is. I get it.
Right.
I went to high school. I went to college. It was different. I'm not saying mine was easier or hard, but you're trying to say to me, you don't understand how. Yes, I do understand how hard it is. So I thought to myself in this conversation, why I asked you boys, because I know the boys. I mean,
right.
I get it. But still, there's a detachment about the reality,
right.
Because these phones have changed everything. And there was a great cartoon I saw, and it's a hovering spaceship. And you just see the 4 Martian, whatever they are, the aliens go, beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. The Martians, in the Looney Tunes, right?
And they're talking to each other, and they're looking down, and the one turns around, and then it takes their beep, beep, and starts writing in English what they're saying. And the one says, what's wrong with his hand? What's wrong? All their hands. Something's wrong with their hands. The device that they're watching them cannot see metal or cannot see object, can only see the outline of that. And they're all walking around New York City like they're staring down into their
right.
Because they're all looking at their phones.
Right.
So, and when I go into a restaurant now, I clock it.
Everything.
I go to a restaurant. Kids out with their husband. The husband's on the phone. The wife's on the phone the whole time.
No connection.
No connection. There's no sharing this.
I think the phones have created multiple alternate realities in our society today. I think that's the biggest challenge we have today.
I do too, bro. I agree. And I think that, having a program, where you, like, I promise you, if you ever want to reconnect with your kids again, one of the things I'll tell the synagogue when we talk the next time I'm up will be, please have all you two, I don't care, unless you're a doctor that has to have a beeper go off, leave your phones in the car when you have dinner. Don't have them at the table. It's an opportunity for you to reintroduce, because we're so disconnected now from these phones. So disconnected.
I could tell you something that we have, and I think it's a minus in the culture. Well, we have Shabbat, right? Jews have Shabbat. So Sabbath, we're not using the phone.
Saturday.
Yeah, Friday night from sundown to Saturday night. sundown, right?
Right.
So we're without the phones, we're talking. But when I grew up, my mother set up the table every night for dinner. Even I think Aaron also knows the same thing, right? Yeah. We had every night dinner set up. Today, none of the Jewish community members are doing night dinners. It's all fly-by-night food.
Yeah.
And it's all on the phone. So no matter what community you're in, there's like a average disconnect. And you're 100% right. We need to, in dinners and when you sit down and eat together, just put the phones away. Put the phones away. You don't need these phones. You don't need these phones. Like forget that phone, right?
Yeah, no, it's just when someone's name, I'm like, I have no idea who that is.
No, that's not you. That's me. This is yours.
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah, that's not my phone. That's your phone.
Who's that name?
No, forget that guy. So that's that. I think that's ultimately, what's happening. By the way, I didn't ask you about this, but maybe it's not good to ask this, but I want to end with this.
Tell.
Did you get any blowback with the PBD podcast with your brothers or no?
So I reached out. I had the colonoscopy.
Oh, okay.
And I hadn't talked to anybody, and I had that on the 12th. So that's a few days ago. And then I went out and did the movie the next day.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, but I did that. He said to me, listen, I found 3 more. Last time was 11. When he got done taking the 11 out,
right.
When I woke up, he said, I want you to call your brothers and I want you to tell them, please, 11's a big number. Go get checked. So I did. I was talking to everybody then. Now I'm not talking to anybody, really.
Again?
Kind of.
Like, so for like in one day?
Billy a little, I haven't talked to Alec in.
So Alec didn't respond to the...
No. So
because I think you were commendable on PBD.
His wife contacted me through my sister when he was on trial and said, it would be really helpful if you came. And I said, okay. So Stephen had gone out the first few days. Billy was sick. He couldn't go out. I had to go out and see Billy because he got really sick.
Right.
And then I came home. Then Deasia and I bought tickets to go on Monday. He got acquitted on Friday. So I never had to go.
So after PBD podcast,
PBD podcast, I did the colonoscopy. I called, messaged him and I said, hey, listen, I just want you to know, I just got back again from having a colonoscopy and they found 3 more polyps. I was told by my doctor to please notify all 3 of you, Billy and Steven, you need to go get checked. No acknowledgement, no okay, no thank you, nothing. So, he's still, I'm not sure what his story is. I know, how strongly he feels about how much he just hates Trump. And I, this time it wasn't like it was in, 2016 or 2020. This time I came out of the barn and I supported him and I told the reasons why and I went after her and I actually campaigned for him. And I've said all along too, and I think, and I would say this to the president's face. I wondered if in this big giant country, with all the talented people that we have, were these really the 2 best candidates that we could have elected? I mean, Donald Trump Sr. has got a lot of things a lot of savvy that I go for, but he is a much older man. There wasn't a 50-year-old guy that believed the same, a JD Vance, or somebody, because I wonder how much this is going to tax him. I do. I'm concerned about that for him. It's a lot of pressure for a man his age. I think if there's anybody that I've seen in the political arena that could do it at 80, it'll be him, but he's 79 now.
I think he can do it, and I'll tell you why. He has trained his body to go undergo huge amounts of pressure. I mean, do you know his daily routine? They say he sleeps 4 or 5 hours a day. Right? He obviously, and I think because he never drank liquor, never took drugs, never smoked, nothing.
Right.
I think his body is in a different league.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, and he golfs all day. You're like literally standing and like he's been doing this for the past 4 years, golfing every day, almost. So I think he has the ability. And honestly, I personally think they could have never found anyone else but Trump. He has a movement behind him. And only now they're realizing the movement that he has, the Democratic Party. And by the way, I wanted to mention before, we mentioned about why Jews vote Democrat is because in New York City, like mostly Democrats win. So we want to be in the primaries. That's why a lot of them are registered Democrats still, to choose the right candidate in the primary. And a lot of times we get the right candidates that we want in the primary to win in the Democratic Party. I mean, I'm registered Republican. Right. So I don't really care about the primaries. I care about but I didn't vote down ballot. I voted Democrat for certain judges because there's certain judges that you can know these judges will interpret the law more for the people than for the big brother corporate people. And I'm more for local peoples to win than corporate to win. That's because listen, people take advantage of the little guy. And I don't want the little guy to lose. I want the little guy to win.
Well, I think a lot of this has to do, and I learned this through following a little harder. I followed the Democratic line, was a registered Democrat, even up till 2020. But I will say this in a competency of what I've learned to believe. When you look at, Trump's going to cut taxes or save taxes for the billionaires. And I say, okay. Well, first of all, there's not a chance that Hillary or Harris was going to make up the lost money by taxing, because the people that got them elected are the same billionaires. They're just Democrats. So that's nonsense.
Right.
Nonsense. Pharmaceutical companies are going to pay. This one's got, it's all BS. But remember something. On either side of that coin, Democrat or Republican billionaires, if they're doing well, then they're hiring and they're employing a lot of people. Those same people that you think you're so against because they're not paying as much in taxes are making more money that allows their business to grow, that hires more people and stimulates the economy. There is that aspect of it that you have to consider. So when you say, oh yeah, but the middle class guy, how many people are the middle class people employing versus one billionaire? And the one billionaire owns a big textile company that employs 10,000 people. 10,000 families eat because of this one guy. One. He doesn't get a little more than the other guy break? Listen, employ 10,000 regular commoners like myself. Back in the day when I was growing up at 32 West Iroquois Street, my father was a school teacher and he was a civil servant with 6 kids and he depended on that system. I got to say, I'm okay with him getting some perks and stuff if he's going to be responsible for bringing that much sugar home to the rest of the people to drink, so I don't know, just something to consider.
No doubt. Daniel, I appreciate that you came to this podcast.
Yeah, brother.
It's been a long podcast.
How long do we normally go?
Like 2 hours. We're at 2 hours already.
We're at 2 hours already?
Are we 2 hours? Yeah, we're 2 hours. Yeah.
I'm not going to shut up. Listen, I've got an hourglass. If you watch, I'm going to send you my last show.
Yeah.
I got an hourglass. I saw it online. It's a big glass, the old school with the wood.
Should we do the same thing?
Yeah, you can. It's got purple like sand. And so I sit there and I go, welcome everyone to DB Uncensored and blah, blah, blah. I say the date. And then I, right in front of the camera, turn the hourglass over because I always forget how long I'm going. And I get there and I, for some reason, start to feel a little, because I'm a monologue. I'm just talking and I'm making reference to articles that I've pulled up and so on and so forth. But I see the dust getting burned. I go, we're getting up in that time. And I end, and I'm going to ask if this is okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to do it.
Do what? Okay.
So
depends what it is. Okay, go ahead.
You might say no.
All right, go ahead.
Say no, and it's okay. This is your show.
Okay.
And I'm certainly not going to be the one to do it. I do it on my show. But at the very end of my show, every show, I say, and as you know, this is the time for those of you people who do not pray. I end every show in a prayer. Very simple prayer, and I end the show in a prayer. And if you don't normally pray, or it's not something for you, it's time for you to turn the show off until I'm back on Wednesday. And for those that do, and I bow my head and I say a short prayer. Would you pray us out on your show?
Sure, we'll pray out. No doubt. So everybody should be blessed by God, that they should succeed in their life, have the open mind and the vision to see through every action that they feel is right for them. That God should present us health, wealth, success with family and friends. And that God should give us abundance to every mind and thought that we think of in order to serve him, in order to be with him and feel him throughout every action that we take. May God bless us. May God bless all peoples in this world. And may God bless America. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Always.
That made me feel really good that you did that for me.
Of course. Listen, there's nothing wrong with prayer and there's nothing wrong with asking God for guidance. And you should always do it.
Mm-hmm.
Always do it. I mean, people, one thing I like, you always say that about the faith fact. That's one of the things I love about you. Like you have ultimate faith in everything you do. And it's very, that
empowered me. We could send him for another bagel and coffee. Do round.
I got no problem.
That empowered me, baby.
I love you, Daniel. Listen, hopefully we're going to make things more happen. Let's continue.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. Thank you again for coming. Thank you, Aaron, for everything. May God bless. Be well, guys. Till next time.